Welcome to the View from the Ninian, where in the post-Christmas haze, Cardiff City have somehow managed to pick up a win after probably their worst performance of the season. It swings and roundabout season on the View from the Ninian. And joining me as always, Tom Phillips, Ben Price. Ben Price, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Mark Harris.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to him. He seems to have had a good one. It's gone very well for him, hasn't it?
Yeah, very well. Tom Phillips, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Kieran Brown?
Yeah, God, yeah. God, it was so inevitable, wasn't it? But yeah, I'm sure we'll get onto that properly.
Well, we will. We're not going to talk about it that much because it was so bad. But Oxford, Boxing Day game, Ben, Tom, a game we must win, a must-win game for both sides. And Ben, we contrived to lose 3-2, and the 2 really did flatter us, didn't it?
Oh, it's a very generous 2, that, yeah. It was horrific, wasn't it? I mean, we're terrible on Boxing Day at the best of times, but Jesus Christ, this was bad. Like, as bad as it could be. Absolute shocker from start to finish, and somehow we managed to still score 2 goals, which makes me a little bit worried about Oxford, to be honest.
I wouldn't worry about Oxford. They won again yesterday, so they're going to do okay. But Tom, we kind of talked about Sheffield United. Kiefer Moore got a couple of goals against us, and obviously Oxford, with their plethora of former Cardiff City players. It was bound to be one of them, but it was. We'll get to you, Ben, with Mark Harris, because I know you've got a lot to say. But Mark Harris obviously scored the first goal, but Kieran Brown got the second goal. Did you think the CEX manager had that in him?
No, I didn't think he had it in him, but like if he was ever going to have it in him, it was going to be this game. And with it being the Christmas period and stuff, I was like, I'm not getting up for this game early hours of the morning here in Australia. And then I woke up around kind of like 4 a.m. went, I'll have a little look. On the first 2 notifications at the top, Mark Harris goal, Kieran Brown goal on flash score. I was like, of course that's fucking happened. And I just said, fuck off, accidentally woke up Sarah and tried to pretend I was back asleep. But I was,
fuck off.
It's just, and it's like, it must happen like to every club, right? Like former players score against them. But God, it feels like it happens to us all the time. And shit ones as well. Like ones we've gone, they're nowhere near good enough for us. They can go anywhere else. Play us. We make them look like world beaters. And just repeat. It's ridiculous.
I don't think that many clubs of a former employee and CX manager score against them during the busiest retail period of the year as well, though.
Exactly. It was a miracle he was playing.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair play to him. He must have downed at least 3 monsters before going on that pitch. But time you say that, Kieran Brown now has scored a second goal in 2 games. Scored again yesterday against Plymouth. So maybe this is him going on a run. Ben, let's talk about Mark Harris. Goal drought since August, which obviously really unlike Mark Harris. He's very rarely patchy in front of goal, is he? He's always consistent. Against his former side, we couldn't have made it any easier for him, Ben. But was it a Ballon d'Or worthy goal from your point of view?
The goal probably isn't Ballon d'Or worthy, but it probably isn't really going to make it in the Puskas Awards either, but like he's got plenty of the other ones there. I think he's got 6 this season. The rest all
5 of them came in August.
The rest of them all in August, yeah. But when you build him up that many, he's just got him in reserve, isn't he? So it's just ticking over before he explodes in May again. Like both priority ends of the season, that's when he gets his job done. But yeah, it's just it was inevitable, wasn't it? It was just obviously going to happen. We joked about it on here, and it happened. So partially, you've put on the agenda, do I take responsibility for Mark Harris scoring? Yes, but also you were the one that did put it in the air first of all, Ben James. So it's also on you a little bit too.
It is on me a little bit too. And the interesting thing about it is that I went on Sky Bet before the game and I was like, what bets, former Cardiff players inevitably going to score against? I didn't back it. I didn't stand on business. And what I went for instead was Will Vaulks to get booked. And that didn't happen. So I looked at Kieran Brown.
Really tried.
I looked at Kieran Brown to score any time, Mark Harris to score first. And then I looked at Will Vaulks to get booked. And I went for Will Vaulks to get booked. And it didn't happen. So you could probably thank me again for that because no, you can't, because that probably would have, if I bet on it, it definitely wouldn't have happened. Excuse me, I butchered the pronunciation of the Ballon d'Or just before that, so I wanted to acknowledge that because I got it wrong twice when I said it. So
the Balloon d'Or.
The Balloon d'Or. Ben, there was a bit of debate on Twitter about Mark Harris's celebration. Obviously, he cupped his ears to the Cardiff fans, albeit very briefly, and some Cardiff fans were very much clutching their pearls over it. Do you think he had every right to do that? Because apparently the fans were booing him at the game. You can tell a bunch of Cardiff fans to grow up here if you want.
It's not like me to not have a dig at him because I quite enjoy it. It winds people up. But I think my issue with it was that if you're going to give it the big un and sort of be all, stick it up, yeah, go full on with it. He did it, shit himself, and backed down from it a bit. It wasn't the full on giving it the big un. He sort of did like try to be cheeky. It felt very much like, you know, on Ali G when he puts like his middle finger up to the police car, like under the window frame.
Yeah.
It felt a bit like that to me. It wasn't just it wasn't a good enough big un to sort of justify the grief he got for it, for one, and also actually doing it. If you're going to do it, just properly go full on, ears there, point to the name on the back of the shirt, and just go full on with it. Just embrace it. You're going to get booed. If you're getting booed as well, go for it. I think that's probably my main problem with it, and just people then getting their ass in their hands about it. After, to be honest, let's be honest, he got a lot of grief on Twitter.
He did get
there weren't many people that were sort of being nice to him, doing all this. He got a lot of grief.
It was a bit of an overreaction. Why so precious?
Yeah. Like I just, if you're ever going to celebrate, it should be when you play against former clubs. I'm not for this staying still or a bit of respect. Go fucking nuts. Like it's just the perfect time to celebrate, especially, and to be fair to him, right? He was deemed not good enough by a lot of us, and he still isn't good enough, in my opinion.
You take that back.
So, but like I'd go nuts if someone told me I'm not good enough for you. Yeah, you know, you're not good enough to play for this club. You go there and you score against them. Of course, you're going to go nuts.
Yeah.
And I don't quite get the outrage. I think as a fan base at the moment, we're rightfully angry about a lot of things. I don't think that's one of them. Let the boy celebrate, because he'll be in League One, possibly with us next year. But like that's probably going to be the peak for him this season now.
Yeah, I agree. And then to round off the game, Tom, we did score 2 goals quite late on. Callum Robinson's was a very nice volley, but it was nice to see Keane Ashford get a goal, wasn't it, Tom?
Yeah, definitely. At least there's something positive to come out of it, because even the 2 goals were irritating, because it's like, why does it take that long? Like, we can do it. Why do we always wait until it's completely too far in games like that? Why have we just handed them the game and gone, we'll react at the end just to make it look a little bit better? But yeah, that is the one positive. Seeing like one of our own score a goal and then rightfully get a place in the starting 11 next game. At least those players are being rewarded, and he definitely deserved it after his cameo at the end.
Right, from Oxford to Watford, in a clash of the Titans at Vicarage Road. Watford unbeaten at home. Cardiff haven't won away from home all season. There was only going to be one result, wasn't there, Ben? The championship in a microcosm. Cardiff City 2, Watford 1. Did not see that coming, but our record at Vicarage Road is exemplary.
I didn't realize. For some reason in my head, it's always somewhere I feel like we've struggled to win.
And then I've looked at seasons. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
We've won 4 on the bounce. Yeah, it's 4 times we've gone there, 4 times we've won, and we probably haven't deserved to win any of them up until yesterday. So that sort of makes it nicer, is that we actually played well, and I think we were really good value for the win. Like I said, I don't think any of us expected us, especially after that Oxford performance, to get anything other than battered there. Looking at that record, and a couple of changes, players came in, and bloody hell, we were good.
It looks like we're unbeaten at Vicarage Road going back to 2010.
Why is it in my head that we always struggle?
We did for years.
Yeah. Because they were always a team knocking on the door of the Premier League, right? So whenever we went there, they were the better team. But even going back to that kind of, didn't we beat them 4-1 at their place when Adam Matthews scored from the halfway line, basically?
Yeah,
and that was and like I feel like maybe historically, but from what I can see on the head-to-head, even going back to where are we going now? 2010, 2009. Yeah, we beat them 4-0 in 2009 at Vicarage Road. We beat them in 1984 at Vicarage. Oh no, they beat us 3-1. Anyway, I'm not going back on the
stats. I think like they've made us look terrible at our home patch a few times, and that probably kind of like
it might be that.
I think that loiters around, because I think that like sticks out a little bit more. Because I remember it was in the Prem, they battered us at home.
Yeah, they beat us like 5-1, didn't they, in the Prem? 5-0.
Yeah,
we should have had a penalty. Josh Murphy got hauled down and we didn't get it, and it turned the game against us.
the year with Russell Slade, that 4-1 around this time of year as well, I think it was then.
Yeah.
That was horrific.
Yeah. Wow, we beat them. Tom, 3 changes to the starting lineup. Kian Ashford, Callum Robinson came back in, and Jesper Darland came back in. How crucial is Callum Robinson to us? I mean, fair play to Yak Mate. He does get on the pitch. I don't really know what he brings when he's on the pitch, but Callum Robinson is just a different level, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got that goal threat that I bet on before the season. No, but he's like, he is so important for us because he sets the tempo. He gets into areas that other strikers that we have don't. And, immediately put Watford under pressure and we score after 55 seconds. We've got Mate who celebrates scoring his 3rd goal in 80-something games and going nuts. And then you've got someone like Robbo who comes back in and just does the business, He does score goals. Even in that season, we really struggled when he got like 7 or 8 goals. He was our only... Yeah, he's still scoring those goals. And it just shows how much we've missed him. Because in this game, we didn't exactly have a lot of ball. We didn't complete many passes, as you touched on before we came on air with this. But when we had chances, we had someone like Robbo to be clinical. And he's going to be absolutely paramount for us between now and the end of the season if we're going to get, if we're going to stay in this division. Because goal scorers are... You just don't get it. They're really hard to come by in the Championship.
Yeah,
they're worth their weight in gold, and yeah, we've got a good one there with Robbo.
Ben, do you think this is Callum Robinson's shortest time between 2 goals in 2 separate games? Because he scored in the 95th minute against Oxford, and he scored within the 1st minute of this game.
Yeah, that must be like a close record for the club of like fewest like touches between goals in games.
Well, he would have touched the ball against Yeah, he would have put it in with that volley against Oxford in the 95th minute, and his second touch was a goal against Watford.
Yeah,
he
that's
took
mad.
The ball out of his feet and then turned back. I just looked that up now, and as it occurred to me.
That is pretty good. I'm just looking at like Tom's shout for top scorer. Like we were saying on the WhatsApp group as well that he's on 12, 8 goals in 12 games. He's the second highest of people that scored 8 or more goals for shot conversion. Only Conway at Middlesbrough scored more, and goals per minute, a goal every 138 minutes.
It's really good.
Good. Like for a team that fucking creating nothing, he's having a hell of a season. It's a shame he's got like carrying that injury with his Achilles, but like fair play to Riza for resting him because he's looking a bit more alive. And yeah,
he played the whole game yesterday, which I think is the first time he's done that all season. Because he's usually been rested at sort of 60, 70 minutes, but he played the full 90. And obviously, towards the end of the game, he was kind of taking his foot off, but he still looked lively when the ball went forward.
Yeah, and he, like especially in that first half, he looked like he was there to get some more goals. Like there were chances there. The Watford sort of defence didn't know how to deal with him. He was breaking the line, sort of pushing up, like right on the last bit, running through. And if it wasn't for a couple of sort of like unlucky offside calls and a few like sort of misplaced passes, he could have easily had a hat trick yesterday. He was outstanding. I think like the front, especially that like starting front 3, all of them were great.
Well, let's talk about Riza's changes to the team. Obviously, brought in Darland at the back, but instead of persevering with the 3 at the back and the 2 wing backs, he went to a flat back 4. Moved Callum Chambers into the DM role with Siopis, and then pushed Alex Robinson forward behind a very fluid. I tweeted this quite a lot. Very fluid front 3 of Willock, Ashford, and Robinson. Tom, putting Chambers as a DM was a little bit inspired, wasn't it? Because it created an extra layer of defence in front of the defence that meant balls weren't getting through to them as much, and mistakes were less likely to happen.
Yeah, because with Chambers, like defending is probably his weakest part of his game, which is tough with him being a defender. So I think having 4 people behind him is probably a good thing. Like he is good with the ball at his feet. So I think having him like behind the midfield like that, but having him there as that kind of extra guard before our back 4, yeah, it works. I'm not sure I was thinking that when I saw the lineup. I wasn't sure if it was like desperation from Riza or inspired. We can call it inspired now. There's no doubt about it, but at least he's trying something, Riza. And yeah, that definitely worked. And we'll see going into the next game if he sticks with that as an approach. But from the way game at Watford, a team who've been, really ticking over nicely at home, it worked out really, really nicely.
And then Ben, you kind of touched upon it, but it was a very fluid front three, wasn't it? The fluidity between that front three was very fluid. Chris Willock, Callum Robinson, and Kian Ashford. At times they were going left to right, they were going right to left, they were changing positions, but they all had an impact, didn't they, on the game, which was really nice to see.
Yeah, look, I think just the movement was just fluid, just absolutely outstanding with that. They were
Play
just
was fluid. They were
yeah,
fluid.
the ball moving about, sort of like they weren't sticking to one positions. I think I just can't think how to describe their their positional play. There must be something
Like water.
Yeah, it's exactly that. That's perfect. Yeah, whatever that is. But yeah, they were just constant. I think Willock was class. Just on the ball, looking to make stuff happen. Sort of didn't give his like the men marking him a chance. He was just outstanding and brought the others into play. We need more of that, and same with what Ashford did. Ashford not just going forward, but especially defensively, because it seemed
He was
a
brilliant
lot to
defensively.
come down that right, and he really helped out Renamata, who again, another really for a centre midfielder, a really solid shift at right back. Sort of did that thing, and sort of at times was stepping into midfield as well, and sort of making it a back three, like three sort of pivot. In fact, can you have a 3-man pivot? I don't know.
It was
I'm
fluid.
not sure. I'm like
It was
Tom.
fluid.
I'm not sure what pivot is.
I know what a double pivot is.
Can you have a
In
3
the
pivot?
midfield.
I don't know.
We basically played a double pivot yesterday because
Yeah.
it was two defensive midfielders to get the ball forward.
Oh, this don't do this tactic bollocks. Come on, we're not fooling anyone.
Right, vibes only. Right, Tom, started the game on fire. We talked about them with the Oxford game, how we finished quick. We took that into this game and started quick. 55 seconds, Callum Robinson scores a goal. It was a lovely pass by the other Callum O'Dowda, who I think is my favourite footballer of all time. Ball into Robbo, and it was a quick finish. Why can't we do that every game?
Well, Robbo's not been on the pitch that much for one.
That's you.
But no,
would have been trying to fight in centre half at that point. Rather than trying to get the ball.
But it sums up Robbo though, doesn't it? He's instantly there to occupy defenders. And there's no coincidence that could have lasted for the whole game. He keeps people on their toes. It means it doesn't give people like an outlet. And just from as soon as that game starts, he's in the position. He's looking for the ball. He's looking to cause problems. There's no easing into the game with Callum Robinson. It's bang, straight from the beginning, straight from the start of the game. And then it just brings the best out of O'Dowda. Like, there's a reason we all love O'Dowda, because he's a threat going forward. You know, he does his bit going defensively. And the reason we haven't got the most out of him this season is because nobody's been there to kind of be at the end of his deliveries when he gets in those positions. So that's why it's so good to have Robbo on there, and Ashford as well. They're both players who start occupying defenders, put themselves about. And that goal kind of summed it up, really. It was really, really good football. And if we keep starting games like that, then we'll be absolutely fine this year, because, it was brilliant play.
Ben, what did you make of his celebration? Obviously quite pointed, maybe a beeline for Omer Riza. Obviously the rumour mill has started again today. But was he showing unity? Was he showing thankfulness for Omer Riza? What was he doing there, Ben? Was it fluid?
I think he looked, saw his opportunity, saw the position to take up, and fluidly drifted in and sort of like just like
gave him a lovely hug,
filled into his arms. And it's really nice. I think that, and we'll get grief for it. Someone will tweet, "Good bloke Claxon," but there's no doubt Reza seems like a nice chap. Shit at Instagram, but seems like a nice bloke. And look, the player. There's clearly something that he's clearly got like a really good connection with most of the players. And I will go in most, because I think there's a few players I don't think are particularly too happy right now.
Like who?
Well, Collins.
Yeah, he's got himself to blame.
I'm not saying he doesn't. It's totally his own fault. Yeah, but he's not going to be too thrilled, is he? He's going to be one of those that sort of slags out. But I think it was a really telling celebration, I think. And weirdly, I felt like Robinson knew he was going to score, and knew that's exactly what he was going to do.
Yeah.
Because it was straight away, it was there. There wasn't a sort of think about it, then go for it. It was proper, right, I'm going straight to him, give him a hug. And I'm all for that. Again, just really nice to show a bit of unity, because it must be shit for them at the moment. Especially after that Oxford game, everyone must have felt terrible, or most of them would have anyway. And you need that unity to get us out of this. It's going to need a lot of togetherness to bring us out of the shitstorm, because this is a win and it's a good win, but we're nowhere near, especially with the results the way they went, we're nowhere near out the shit yet.
He didn't feel terrible after the Oxford game. Jamalu Collins, he liked Mark Harris's Instagram post.
We didn't go to that, did we?
I just think that's quite funny, to be honest. Tom, we were the better team, but it did also feel like when Watford scored that it was coming. I think there was a sustained period of pressure from us, and then they kind of got the ball, and for 5 minutes it felt like they hemmed us back in. But could we have done more to defend their goal? It kind of went left to right, right to left, and their winger, I think he's Georgian, their number 8, had a lot of time on the ball. But could we have got out to him quicker? Could we have done more to defend it?
Possibly. I watched it back earlier on, and I don't think we did a lot wrong. It's just whenever someone's at the back post with that much, like when he's got that much space, it always looks worse than it is. I think the problem was we were, like you said, we had a bit of pressure beforehand. I think Ashford missed the chance, kind of fluffed his lines a little bit, and then they kind of broke.
If someone's saying like it was an open goal, that's a really. It's like Dick High. Unless he's flicking that in with his tip, he ain't scoring that, is he?
Well, you've got to think like that as a striker. You know, that's the difference between the top level. You know, you've got to score with any part of your body, no matter how big or small. But I think, I don't think we did a lot wrong. I think it kind of looks bad because we've conceded so many goals recently. You're kind of like looking for the holes. But I thought it was like decent build-up play. We put pressure on them. We tried to close down the ball a little bit, and it just meant that he was left at the back post. And yeah, no real complaints from me this time.
There's clearly a mistake there, but I can't work out who's at fault because Ashford's up with his man who he's marking. So, like, you can look at it and go, "Oh, why isn't Ashford filling in that hole?" Sort of, it's down his side. Rinamota's come across. Someone's not picked someone up, and I can't work out who. Like, there's some people saying, "Oh, Dowd didn't pick someone up." Oh, Dowd was trying to get to the ball. Was it Darla? I can't work out who's at fault, but clearly someone hasn't picked their man up, and yeah.
And it's also like when their 8 got the ball, which would have been Rinamota's man as fullback because he was playing on the left. Rinamota's in front of him. It's just the guy did he feinted one way, went the other way, and got the space. So I don't really know.
Rino stepped over anyway, so he stepped over to pick up someone that's not being picked up anyway, which probably is the right thing to do.
Like, yeah,
because if he didn't, that other guy's got a free one. So it's not. It's definitely. I don't think it's Rinamota's fault at all. It's just trying to work out.
I'm not blaming him. I'm saying he's picking someone up. So everyone's picking someone up, and everyone's trying to mark someone. And the only person who doesn't really is Gutas, who goes to the line, which again is the right thing to do because you've got Almwick out of the goal, so Gutas is trying to clear the ball off the line as a last-ditch defending thing. So I know what you mean, but at the same time, it's very hard to figure out who was in the wrong because everyone is trying to do something to kind of stem the goal. So
I think, though, as podcast edgelords, we should pick someone. You know, you've got to blame someone, haven't you? Otherwise, what's the point in being here? I'm going Lee Naylor.
I'm going to go Kevin Theophile Catherine.
Josh Murphy. I'm going old school. It's always his fault, and he's not going to come good.
We got Lee Naylor, Kevin Theophile Catherine, and Josh Murphy.
The newest school.
Yeah, you're the new school here. Ben, amazingly, we did not rest on our laurels, and we scored within 4 minutes of them going 1-1. Which I didn't expect to happen because I was looking at my phone as the Kian Ashford put the ball across, trying to tweet something. I looked up and the ball's in the net. So I don't really know what happened, but having watched it back, it was a move that involved all 3 of our front 3 players, very fluid. Willock, CEO was involved, put the ball through to Ashford, who, Ashford could have had a shot. He was sure on goal. The keeper's coming up to him. A striker with a bit more selfishness would have done that, but he put a lovely cross through and Robinson had an empty goal. It's the kind of goal we don't score, isn't it, Ben?
It was a lovely goal. So good. They're the sort of ones I really like, sort of quick, no nonsense, straight through, and just that the maturity and the unselfishness of Ashford there is really impressive because he's well within his rights to take a shot there and probably would score himself, but he knows if I lay that off and just to have the option to look up and say, right, I can square that and he's going to score. At his age is brilliant because normally at that age, it's a rush of blood to the head and you want to fire it. You look at sort of like Tanner had a similar position later on where he could possibly look for another pass or sort of done better. He had the rush of blood, the head hit straight on the keeper's throat. It's very easy to do that. So huge credit to Ashford for doing that. It's a massive assist that. And Willock before that, the pass to get into Ashford is outstanding as well. And it's just a lovely little finish. And what's the composure? It's great composure from all 3 of the lads to come back after that. But you're at your most vulnerable when you scored a goal.
It was very fluid as well, which is what I really liked about it. Tom, 2-1 at half time. The most dangerous scoreline in football, or is that 2-0? I never know these days. Watford, unbeaten at home. You'd have kind of expected them to come out second half and give it the kind of push, but I don't know. I don't know if it was the same for you, but I never really felt in danger in that second half. It never really felt like they created anything too clear cut that caused us problems. And I think we managed the game quite nicely. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think the timing of that second goal knocked the wind out of them a bit. I think if we'd gone in 1-1 half time, we don't win that game. I think with our current form at the moment, I think that goal was really, really important. But, there's always the nagging doubt because we've conceded so many late goals recently. And to put it bluntly, we've been shite. So you always think that there's a chance that Watford are going to come back into the game. But like you said, I think we just managed it perfectly. They had that one chance later on with that poor header. Yeah, their fans hate him. I was going through Twitter earlier on. They were like, biggest dud we've ever seen, worst striker I've ever seen in the club. He won't be playing football within 3 years. All this stuff. But apart from that, I thought we were great. I thought it was a very professional, solid second half from us.
Ben, I looked on FOTMob, 105 accurate passes, 27% of possession, but our XG was 1.6, so we're kind of in line with our XG. We created more chances than them, and even in that second half, when Watford are chasing the game, we're trying to game manage things. We could have scored 2 or 3 more. CEO had a lovely volley that just got deflected wide. Tanner was through and brought a good save out of their keeper Bachmann, and then Gutas had a header that went close as well. So even in the second half where we were managing the game out and trying not to kind of overcommit ourselves, we still created enough chances to probably get a couple more goals, which is encouraging.
Yeah, it's massively encouraging. Tanner coming in looks sharp. I still think he's really lacking composure in certain situations, and that's really telling, especially sort of that one-on-one.
Yeah, he just hit that as hard as he could, didn't he? When he could have found a corner or taken another touch.
I think you've got to place that there. This plenty of the goal. It was just him and the keeper. He's just slammed it straight down his throat, which is a bit frustrating. CEO, I've never seen a player take so long to have a shot and it just go that slow. You can tell that is a bloke that doesn't score many goals. It just felt completely unnatural. And he went from, and I thought CEO had a brilliant game. I thought he was outstanding, worked really well in that midfield too. But when it came into that box, he proper turned from a really solid, like international footballer to your mate you're playing down 5-a-side with, and just didn't know how to get the shot off. And it really made me laugh. I'm just
looking at CEO's career. How many goals do you think he scored in 374 games of football?
I reckon he's got 2.
1 goal. And that came in 2018-19 for Aris in the Greek Super League. Sorry to interrupt you there, Ben, but I agree completely.
Yeah, it just really. I think I was laughing at that for about 5 minutes, and Fee just couldn't work out why I found it so funny. He just went from really composed to proper like shit, and
couldn't quite get his leg out.
Yeah, just proper made me laugh. But like, I thought, there was no point I thought, oh, we're in trouble here. There was maybe a couple of crosses, and you sort of thinking, oh, this could be it. I thought when Tanner didn't go to the corner and took a shot on at one stage and they sort of broke in like the 96th minute, I thought, oh, this would be sod's law. But other than that, I thought we were really, really composed. And like I said earlier, like full value, like really deserve those 3 points. So just really happy with that result.
Tom, we talked in recent weeks about stats around passing and things like that, but it was a proper return to Warnock ball, wasn't it? In a sense of low passes but high effect, like 105. We had 105 accurate passes all game, but 74 of those were in the opposition half. So it just shows really that we were being very efficient with our ball, weren't we? And instead of messing around with it and passing it along the back, which is what we have done at times this season, we were just getting it forward.
Yeah, it's all about like doing it at the right times, isn't it? Like it's all right having the ball, but then when you've got an XG of 0.02, like we have had in games, then it's fucking useless, isn't it? Like we had more XG after 55 seconds in that game than we probably did with 5 games combined. In others, like it just shows about doing it in the right areas and playing the team in front of you. You know you're going to be under pressure against Watford when they've got such a good home record. So don't mess around with it in your own box, Make sure you get into the right areas. But that's why it's important to have Robbo, Ashford, Willock in what you guys have, I think, described a couple of times as a fluid setup.
Thank you very much.
No problem. It's catching on. But like I think like Willock was key to that, right? But we haven't seen that from him consistently this year. But having that outlet allows us to play that type of football. Having someone with pace getting into those areas means that we can have 20-something% possession, but then break at those times and then score those goals that we haven't been seeing. We have to rely on those types of players. And I think that's the most frustrating thing about this season is I think a lot of us pinned a lot of hope on Willock and we're starting to see it, but it's like 1 in 3 games. But hopefully now with having the outlet of Ashford there, Robbo as well, we might see a little bit more of it because, that was a great performance. Some of the stats may look a little bit bleak, but the stat that counts, to be cliche, is the score at the end of the game. And for once, only the second time in 11 games, it was on our side.
Callum Robertson's goal had an XG of 16. 0.16, sorry, the opening goal. Not 16
goals for 1 goal.
Yeah, 16 goals for 1 goal. 0.16. Ben, when I think back to yesterday's game, I think back with fondness, delight, enjoyment. But it's very hard to pick one man of the match from that performance, isn't it? Because you could look at the defence and say Darlan and Gutas was fantastic. Britta was brilliant at right back. Callum O'Dowda was hugely pivotal in a lot of what he did going down the left. You had Sio, who was an absolute nuisance. I think Alex Robertson was very quietly going about his business. Callum Robertson scored 2 goals. It was one of those performances we haven't seen in a while where they all stepped up and all put in a shift, didn't they?
Yeah, I think we've seen plenty of performances where players have the whole team have completely shit the bed.
Yeah.
It was really refreshing to see a really, really good all-round team performance. But yeah, it is really difficult. You sort of think, but that player was good, but this guy could be, I'd probably give it to that guy. It's just, just outstanding, especially for that to come after such a poor performance against Oxford. It gives you that little bit of hope, doesn't it? Because I don't think I've said we're relegated as much as I did after that Oxford game. Properly foul moods, just bouncing around the house, just swearing at the TV constantly. To go from that to that performance is huge. And fair play to every one of those players because they really stepped up when they needed to. And it just gives you that little glimmer of hope. I still think we're really in serious trouble. I need to pick up a few results fast. But the performance like that will go a long way to helping confidence as much as anything.
Yeah, I think I will give one player a shout out, and that's Callum O'Dowda, just because I think he's an absolute colossus at the moment. And I think, before the game, he's coming over and giving the fans a proper G up and trying to get the fans going, all that kind of stuff. I just think it's so funny because when we signed him, I think a lot of fans were a bit skeptical of him because he was coming from Bristol, and they were like, "Oh, he's always injured" and all this kind of stuff. But he's an absolute warrior. And yesterday's performance again, he's winning battles against players who are almost 6 or 7 inches taller than him. He's going in for tackles that he shouldn't be going in for. He went off injured with what looked like quite a nasty dead leg, I think, by the end of it. But he didn't have to, he drew that foul and he knew it was going to hurt him, but he did it anyway because of when it was in the game. So I just think he's a hero. And I would love him out of them all to get the new contract first, just because I think we'll miss him if he does go.
Of all the players we picked up from Bristol, recently, he's the best of the bunch by far, and
he's what we thought Marlon Pack would be, isn't he?
Everything.
When we signed Marlon Pack, we just thought we were signing this warrior of a midfielder, but it's actually O'Dowda, really.
Yeah.
I think with O'Dowda, we are lacking leaders right at the moment, and what we've seen from him at various times this season, but especially the last couple of games, is that Oxford game. He was the one who went over to the fans. Still, he doesn't shy away from everything. I think he's got that kind of he's got that public school boy, Patrick Bamford-esque look, hasn't he? That you think that he. Yeah, but he just doesn't look like he'd be a warrior. He doesn't look like he'd be that nitty-gritty player who gets stuck in. But he's the one who is doing it for us at the moment. And like we've said so many times before, that we're simple fans. Those are the types of players that we can get behind. And yeah, he just kind of typifies that at the moment.
Final question on the Watford game. It was a proper Cardiff City performance, wasn't it, Ben? Gutsy, scrappy, a bit of good football in there. Is this the platform we build on now, or is this just a one-off?
It has to be. It has to be. This has to be the kickstarter to the rest of the season now. There's no excuse. This is the standard that all the players should be looking for. This shouldn't be a one-off sort of fluky result. This wasn't a case of players playing up and playing above their potential. This was players finally realising the potential in the performance. And I think if we can just hit this standard more often than not now, I think we'll be all right. There's going to be games where it drops off, but for the most part, this has to be the minimum we expect from them now because they've shown they're capable of it.
Tom, do you think it will be that platform? Do you trust
I
the
hope
team
so.
to do it?
But it's mad, really. I think we've been really, really lucky that we haven't had much time to dwell on that Oxford game. Thank fuck we didn't have a podcast straight after it. Because it would have been an absolute. I haven't been that angry at a Cardiff result for a long, long time. It was so frustrating. But to react like that and put this performance in, yes, it's frustrating that we don't do it very often, but it shows we have got it there. And we've got to build on this now. And the fixtures are coming thick and fast. And we've got a home game now against Coventry. We've been struggling as well and have a useless manager. So it's kind of the perfect follow-up. We've gone from looking at those fixtures and going, we've got a tough run. But I think after pulling off the unlikely against Watford, this is the perfect game to follow up with, to build that momentum and get the fans back on side, because it's a tough atmosphere at the moment.
It was an important win yesterday. When you look around the league, Portsmouth lost 3-0 to Bristol City. Oxford, obviously around us as well, beat Plymouth 2-0. Hull obviously got a very late winner, I think it was against Blackburn, 77th minute, not that late. So the teams around us are winning, and we have to stay on their coattails. Are you laughing at me saying not that late, Ben?
Yeah, it was just when you were honest. Never mind.
Well, I checked. I didn't check the results. I looked at the whole game at half time yesterday, and then saw that they'd won 1-0. So I assumed it was a late winner because I hadn't really checked it during the second half. So it was very important that we got that win yesterday, and it was a great day. I think before the game, you could sense the toxicity in the air with the fans. There was some pretty close to the knuckle chants about Vincent Tan that I won't repeat on air. But I think they called his mum a slag, which is a bit mean because she was the reason we went back to blue. Yeah, but that wasn't the worst one. There was a worse one.
Okay.
So I won't repeat that. Nothing bad. It was just a bit mean.
His mum's the best one. She's the one that got us back to blue.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. It's not very fair, really. And I think that the result was needed to kind of settle things down a little bit. So let's go over to twitter.com/VFT Ninian for all your tweets. Rob Jonesy did not expect that. Stick with that lineup against Cov and hopefully get the same outcome. Great to see some real pace and attack for change. Robbo, Willock and Ashford linked up so well. Come on, Ben, why did they link up so well?
It's just the fluidity, wasn't it? It was just so fluid.
Where has this come from?
I tweeted.
Sorry, right.
I was basically someone asked me what the formation was yesterday during the game, and I managed to send a tweet that had fluid in it about 4 times.
4 times.
It's pretty fluid, but I think it's fluid. So that's where it's come from. Gareth Dunning, football could change so quickly, but that was quick. As many have asked, we need to look at our young guns as the shining light for the future. Ashford, Tanner, Capaccio, Colwell brothers, Darland. Did Ashford look like he had pressure on him? Not a chance. Old enough, good enough. Joel Colwell, I think, scored again yesterday. So the clamour for him coming back in January will be even louder. Lee Johnson, watching the derby during dry January seems a little bit less daunting now. Ash says, do you think this is a turning point and we could go on a decent run over the next few weeks? Already touched on that. JMO, that felt very Warnock-esque, even down to the long throws out of our own half. Is that Riza just trying to get one over on Watford, or do we think we're going to move to a more direct, structured style? Ben, it does feel like there was a deliberate change in our style yesterday, doesn't it? Maybe this is what we've been building up to. Do you think this will be our formation, our style going forward?
It's effective, isn't it? I've got no problem with it. I really enjoyed the performance against Watford. I'm not a huge sort of like tiki-taka. It's got to be 6 million passes before a goal. I just like effective football. I don't mind if we have less possession. I just want effective, enjoyable football, and that's what that was. So if we go more direct, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I agree. Especially at this stage of the season, right? We just need to start picking up points, and if that's the way it's got to be, that's the way it's got to be.
I quite like the idea of it like just being Riza trying to get one over on Watford, and like the fact that like the grievance is what matters, right? So we've just got to dig in and find one for each game. So we need to employ someone at the club to just go dig in and find a reason just to and just put it up on the board before every game and just get stuck into them. So
I've got the Frank Lampard one.
Play for Swansea.
He made his league debut for Swansea.
It's just Frank Lampard's enough, surely.
Yeah, he is crap.
It's true.
Yeah. Was he? No, he wasn't there when we were against Derby in the Championship. CCFCTM, first time in France this weekend, and we win. Maybe I should visit France more often. Leon Millard, the players owed us that one. Every player put a shift in to get such an early goal, really set the tone and gave the players and fans something to play for, and we bounced off each other. The more they ran, the more we cheered. Between us, we got over the line for 3 points. Tom, that is an important point, isn't it? We've talked about the kind of atmosphere around the stadium, how poor things have been and all that kind of stuff, but it felt like the first time the players gave us something back, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's not highlighted enough, really, like that the players' responsibility, like, is the ultimate one at the end of the day. And there's plenty that's wrong with the club. Don't get me wrong. There's been tactical decisions that's wrong. There's stuff wrong with the hierarchy and stuff. But at the end of the day, the players have got to put a shift in. And the last few weeks has come across that they haven't. And it just shows that as a fan base, we buy into players who are putting a shift in, who put a performance in, who just play. It's as simple as playing for the badge, right? And the atmosphere builds, and that performance, isn't that a perfect example of it?
Bluebirds passed. It was nice to see them all work their bollocks off. Just having a group of players willing to put a shift in for 90 minutes makes a huge difference in the Championship. Our problem is doing it on a consistent basis. If we can do that, then we should be able to climb out of trouble. Ollie Carter, friend of the pod. I'm still taking full credit for the win, for giving up my ticket, but still not seeing a win this season. Record lives on. Matty Aztec, I think we could beat Coventry. 6 points over Christmas then would be an excellent return. Barry Jones, a win and they looked as one, but do you think the protest will make the board think of its supporters? It remains to be seen how effective the protest will be and how many people turn up. I think the only way that any protest will have an effect is if Ken Chu and Mehmet Dalman see it. If they hide away, then they're not going to see it and they don't really have to react to it. John T.M. Williams, smiling for the first time at football in ages. Neil White thought Keane Ashford was so composed to slide the ball across to Callum Robinson for his goal. He could have gone for himself, but was so unselfish, a team player. Ellis Roderick, if Robbo stays fit, we stay up. If he doesn't, though. Is that the key, Ben? Robbo staying fit from now? Managing that Achilles of his?
Seems that way, doesn't it? It's hard to sort of say one way or the other, but it's a worry if that is our pure hope, is a lad that's prone to injuries. And like, I've got his stats up here. I don't think he's played more than 30 games in the season since his second year at West Brom, where he's played 43, but then the following year he played 4 games. He's not really played, like, other than that, it's normally 25, 30 games a season for him, and we're on 19 already. So it is, we've got to keep him fit and look to bring the support around him, because it can't just be down to him.
It can't be down to him. Matthew Hawkins, Callum Chambers, Rolls-Royce midfielder. I am moved. MJCCFC, everything that's been wrong the last month and a half was flipped today. Legs throughout the team. Youngsters given a chance and took it. Secure at the back and clinical. Only thing I'd say is sitting off with 25% of the ball probably isn't sustainable, especially at home. Lee Spear, look, let's not beat around the bush. It's been so bad, and the players have got to take a big slice of the criticism. But at times this season, they've shown what they're capable of, and if they keep to that level at best, then we will be absolutely fine. Gwyn Jones, QR fans calling Omer Riza the Messiah. Now we've won a game. Ashford was good though, and Oliver Rees, positive news. There's a new pod. Let's talk about Omer Riza, Tom Phillips, Ben Price. The rumours have started again. People are tweeting cryptically about news coming soon. What the fuck is going on? Is Omer Riza going to stay at the club? Tom, is he going to be replaced in January with Slaven Bilic? Who can say? What do you think?
It's bad, but at this point, I don't give a fuck. It's like I'm so kind of sick of this like managerial like just merry-go-round constantly at this club. So I don't know what's going to happen. And if he does leave, it'll be after when we win. It won't be after when we lose. The timing will be all over the shop. We'll be waiting around for something that inevitably won't happen. And I'm just kind of sick of guessing. But like reading between the lines and hearing what people are saying, it looks like he might be off. If you really want to dig into like the Watford game, perhaps that's what the celebration with Robinson was. Perhaps they know. Like you could, like by the like wry smile on Reese's face, he looked like that's quite nice. But I don't know, he looked like a dejected man even when we scored that goal. So I don't know what to read into it, and I don't know what a good decision would be. I don't think he's good enough for this level. As much as we've already sounded the good bloke klaxon earlier on, I don't think he's a manager that's set up for this level. But then I also don't trust us as a club to bring in someone who is. So I don't know what's happening. I don't know what I want to happen. Let's just, I'm sure we'll have a podcast about it when he inevitably gets sacked over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, emergency pod incoming. We can already predict it. Ben, what's your take on it? Do you agree with Tom? Do you think it's already pretty inevitable?
Yeah, it's felt inevitable since he got the job. As soon as he was given that job as the manager, we were all just there going, oh, okay, he's going to be sacked at some point. It ain't going to last long. It felt so Hudson-like. It's unbelievable. The only difference probably is he's got more wins. No, he hasn't got more wins, has he? Hudson got a cut. So he's not even like got the same record as Hudson. He's doing worse.
That Hudson period is so removed from my memory because it was so poor. I remember strong with Burnley and thinking, God, this is going to be good. And then it being terrible until Lamucci came in.
Yeah, it's just it's just the inevitability of like him not being here at the end of the season just feels like guaranteed, and it's just
the inevitability feels inevitable.
It does, yeah, and his position seems very fluid.
Yes,
I did that just to annoy Tom. But yeah, it's going to happen. Just when and who comes in, who knows? And like Tom said, who really gives a shit at this point?
Well, the rumor yesterday, and you might give a shit about this one. I'm not sure if you guys saw it. Everyone's favorite Welsh manager, Robert Page, is being linked to the club. I was going to ask your reaction, Tom, but that kind of slow blink, deep breath kind of sums it up for me.
I forgot I saw that tweet, and like, it made me feel a bit sick. Like, I love Rob Page for like what he did with Wales. Not the way we did it, but we got to World Cup somehow with him there. He was there, so well done him. Leave it at that. Never take a job in football again, and just have that be your legacy. Because if he comes to us, we are only going in one direction. That man has fucked up everything to do with club football. It didn't work out for him when he was here as a player either. Danny Gabardon retired him. Like, just, it's not the job to take. And it's a pity, because you'd think someone who'd got those achievements with the national team would be well sought after, but he's not going to be. And you'd think, local manager with international experience who'd love to be at the club, fantastic. But it just wouldn't work. He'd come through the door and our fans would be even more apathetic than they currently are with Riza. You'd be starting off at such a low bar and low expectations for our fans, and possibly toxic, because I think people would turn even more on the board thinking they think this is a good idea. How far removed are they from what's going on in the real world? It would just be an absolute, it'd be awful atmosphere. So if I haven't been clear, I wouldn't be too happy with that appointment, Ben.
Ben, do you want to give an alternative view?
No, there's nothing. Tom's nailed it there. Again, sound a nice bloke klaxon, but no, thank you.
Okay, pretty damning. Well, let's see what happens. It's the rumor mill has started again. There's all sorts of conversations going on, which I think is very unfair on Omer Riza, especially after a win like that. But it just feels like the club is going on one-way path to getting rid of him. And when that is, who can say? Ben, do you think it'll be in the new year?
Isn't it? Like, just knowing that even like he's won a game, like he's finally won a game as permanent manager, and we're going, he's getting sacked, isn't he? Like, he's just poor sod, can't win. Or he can and still loses somehow.
But it's also like, just imagine operating under that pressure, right? If I go into work every day and I've got someone on Twitter going, get rid of Ben from his job, like, it must be painful going into work every day and seeing that conversation. As much as it comes with the territory of being a football manager.
Stop holding it against me.
I've got a lot of people who are out to get me, nefarious forces, destabilize me, haters. Right, let's move on to Coventry. New Year's Day, Fat Frank coming to town. It is Christmas after all. This is a big one, isn't it, Tom? New Year's Day, Coventry. I don't know what they did this weekend, but did they win or lose? They drew 0-0 with Millwall. They've had a bit of a mixed bag since Frank's come in. I think they drew with us. They lost to West Brom, beat Hull, lost to Portsmouth, beat Plymouth, drew with Millwall. It could go either way, couldn't it?
Yeah, and we really needed to fall our way. Like, I keep saying this, mind. It's like the Oxford game, must win. And then we lose, get a result against Watford, and I'm suddenly looking at the table going, we've actually got a game in hand over the teams above us, and we're only 1 point away from them. But, like, I think in terms of putting two results together, back-to-back after the sustained period of dross that we've had, I think it's big, not just because of where we are on the table. I think just the general atmosphere throughout the club. I think if we win this game, I think they'll struggle to get a protest together. For example, I'm sure there's some people in our fan base, and I half wouldn't blame them, who kind of want us to capitulate at the moment because we just want the big reset. But like, if you're looking at it from a purely football point of view, it's a big game to kick on for the rest of the season. And I'm quite nervous about this one, I must admit.
Ben, you keeping the same team?
You go, and after that performance, it's got to be the same sort of setup and go for it. Like, we're capable of taking it to teams, and I think if Frank Lampard's Coventry City, as they're now called, have shown anything, is that they're vulnerable. They're there to be beaten. They're really inconsistent. They've got their draw. Yeah, they're there to be beaten. So let's just go at them. Keep it tight at the back. Don't see silly goals and play like that. Just put like all the effort in. You'll generate atmosphere. I think work as hard as they did against Watford, and like the crowd won't get on their backs. They'll be supportive, and there'll be a bit of a buzz about it. New Year's Day as well. I think it's just you've got to keep the same team and go for it.
It's interesting. They're also Coventry missing Hadji Wright at the moment. They seem to be prioritising Bassett up front ahead of Ellis Sims and Brandes Thomas Asante. It could be that, we deserve to beat them at the Coventry City Stadium. I don't know what it's called these days. Fraser Group Stadium, whatever it is. The Rico, is that what it's called? Ben, you would know. You love Coventry.
Coventry Building Society Arena.
There we go. Thank you very much. Got to get the sponsors in there, keep them happy. We should have beaten them there. So I think it's time for us to exact our revenge. Tom, what's your prediction for the score?
I think, like you said, we should have beaten them up there. I think that's enough. If you're looking for the grievance column, I think Robertson is already still pissed off from the penalty and stuff from that last game. I think we have got enough to beat them. So, yeah, I think we'll beat them 3-1. I think we'll build on our attacking performance last time round, and 3-1.
Ben?
1-0 City.
1-0. Who's going to score?
I'll go Dowda.
Oh, Tom, who do you think is going to score?
Lee Naylor. No.
Lee Naylor, Kevin Philip Catalan, and Josh Murphy.
If Robinson starts, I see him getting a brace again. I just why not? Because I'd hate to actually add up my predictions this year. I think we'd be top, and I think we would have conceded 3 goals all year. But but you've got to be positive, haven't you? So I'll go. Yeah, you'll score a brace.
Well, I went on the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast, the excellent Do Not Scratch Your Eyes Watford podcast, and I think I predicted us lose 4-1 against Watford. So my predictions are not really worth their salt. It's mainly because you're not allowed on that podcast to predict 2-1, because someone always predicts 2-1. So 2-1 is always taken. So, and I think it's in its own scoring bracket in their league, from what I understand of it. So 2-1 won, obviously, yesterday. So we don't often go on other teams' podcasts. No offense to every other team's podcast, but that's what I always make time for because they're a funny bunch. Right, my prediction: I'm going to go Cardiff 3, Coventry City 0. No goals for Coventry. Callum Robinson hat trick. I'm going to go with a hat trick this time around, and I think we'll be flying at the table from there, really. And then Omer Riza will get sacked. The whole club will be destabilised again. There'll be a protest. It'll be a laugh for the last couple of months of the season, where we slowly descend into madness on the View from the Ninian podcast. But this is it. The last one of the year. Ben, New Year's resolutions. Did I ask this last time? I don't think I did.
Can't remember.
Well,
I don't do them.
Value of time we spend together.
Yeah. I don't do New Year's resolutions. It's trying not to be as fat as last year. This year I've done it. Try and do it again next year.
Tom, grow some hair?
No, that's long gone. I'm just going to concentrate on my Rob Page's Barmy Army flag over the next couple of weeks. Get the needle and thread out. But yeah, I don't see much past that at the moment.
My New Year's resolution is always hit a 180 at some point in the darts.
Oh yeah, and that.
3 years, I haven't done it yet. I got close. I hit 260s when I was playing darts the other day. So I'm 1 dart away in theory. It's not. Ben, was that boring to you?
Darts.
Unbelievable.
It's the most invested I've been in the pod 53 minutes in.
Well, all that's left to say is thank you very much to everyone who's listened throughout 2024. Another year in the bag, another year of podcasts where you can hear us slowly going insane week to week, going with the wind every week and then changing our opinions a week later because we're reactionary and that's what we do. But thank you everyone who's got involved on Twitter, twitter.com/VFTNinian. Thank you to everyone who's given us some money via Ko-fi, kofi.com/VFTNinian. Thank you to Terras for bringing us on board. Thank you to Sports Social, our previous podcast hosters. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to Tom. Thank you to Ben. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2025. Ta-da.